In today's episode, we will be recapping week one of the NFL season, giving our picks for week two, the focused five for week two, and then doing a little NCAA five takeaways and our flash five for the NCAA. So, football, let's get on to it. Week two NFL, week three NCAA. Here we go. Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the Dub Cast. Week one was a successful week, I think. Passing was down in the league overall. Still some fun games to watch, though. And yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time in it. Just want to go over each game briefly, get my thoughts and takeaways in, and then we'll move on to week two. So first game of the week, Ravens at Chiefs. Chiefs -3. I had Chiefs -3 on the picks. Correct. Barely. Great game to bring us back to the NFL season. Chiefs, I just don't think are going to lose this season. Well, they're going to lose at some point, but I think they're bound to win a Super Bowl still. That game didn't change my mind. I do think we will see the Ravens and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game again, most likely. I think the Ravens are a really good team. We saw Derrick Henry not do a ton, but, it looks like he's going to be a valuable add to that team once they get Keaton Mitchell back. They're going to have a dynamic backfield. The Chiefs should have Hollywood Brown back either this week or next week. He's going to be a worthy addition. Speaking of worthy, Xavier Worthy, man, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns, I believe, just insane, or 2 touches, I should say. Yeah, this Chiefs team is going nowhere for the foreseeable future. I guess quickly about the Chiefs, about the tight ends. Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce, don't think much of it. It's one game. I think people like to overreact after one game. People are saying they're washed up. Yes, they didn't do much, but Travis Kelce might turn into a Gronk type role where, he's not really his true self that we're used to in his prime, but he's still able to get you those big catches and just provide like a force when needed to in the fourth quarter or third quarter when you need a third down or whatever. So I'm not worried about him. Mark Andrews likely looked really good. So, maybe it's just the coverages. We'll see what's up with Mark Andrews. Wouldn't count him out yet either, though. So Chiefs beat the Ravens. Game 2, Friday night, was Packers versus Eagles. Eagles -2.5. This game in Brazil, I picked the Eagles. That's correct. So they did win and cover the spread. Yeah, this game was about as what I expected it to be, kind of wild, high scoring. Defenses were okay, but not great, obviously, as there was a lot of points on the board. Saquon, 3 touchdowns. I know the Giants fans out there love that. I knew he's going to fit seamlessly right into this offense. And yeah, Jaden Reed looked really good for the Packers. Their wide receiver core is crazy, but now my boy Jordan Love goes down with an injury. Looks like he's going to be out a couple weeks, and the Packers are starting Malik Willis. That's going to be a fucking terrible experience for them. I used to believe in Malik Willis, but he just can't throw a football, so I'm not expecting the Packers to win any of these games when Malik Willis is starting as quarterback. I do think there's some good options out there. Maybe they get a Ryan Tannehill, but I think Ryan Tannehill wants to be somewhere where he's the starter number one, not just coming for a couple games. So we'll see what happens with the Packers' future. Already 0-1, and yeah, this is not good for the start of their season. Moving to Sunday, start of the 1 p.m. slate, we had the Steelers and the Falcons. I picked the Falcons -3.5. Wrong. Steelers win this game by only kicking field goals. George Pickens looks really good. Justin Fields does his usual thing where he throws for like 150 yards and runs for 50 yards, but it's not bad enough to say get him out or not good enough to say he should start next week. He is going to start this week, so we'll see how that looks. I think you got to get Russ back in there when he's fully healthy. I'm not sure if he is. I don't know. I just think Russ is better than Justin Fields. What do you guys think? On the Falcons end, I'm not panicking. We've seen with these new quarterbacks, new veteran quarterbacks and new teams, it takes a while for them to gel, especially week one going against freaking TJ Watt, who's probably maybe the best player in the NFL, second best player in the NFL behind Mahomes. Like, he went crazy. Falcons O-line, maybe he's not all together on the same page. Kirk had a couple bad picks, but yeah, I'd expect this Falcons team to come back. Not this week because they're playing the Eagles on the road on Monday night, and that's going to be a rough one. They might start 0-2, but I am not out on the Falcons yet. I do think that there is more to be seen there. Next game, Cardinals-Bills. I picked the Cardinals to cover 6.5. They lost by 6, so there you go. Correct on that one. Yeah, this was the classic Josh Allen, like, shit your pants first half. Oh no, he's finally lost his touch. Like, we've just been hyping him up. He's mid, and then second half he just goes crazy running. I noticed 1 p.m. window, I should say. I had the Patriots on one screen, red zone on the other, so I don't have the most observant observations, if you know what I mean. But from what I've seen, it seems like Josh Allen just took over running the game, or running mostly, and yeah, I don't think it's a problem that he has no receivers. I think he's good enough. He's my second best quarterback in the NFL. I think he can do whatever he needs to get the win. So Cardinals are going to always play you close. I feel like they're not going to be a team that wins a lot of games just due to better teams in the NFL, but they're always going to bring it close. So good game right there out of the Cardinals and the Bills. Next game, Titans and Bears. Picked the Titans to cover 4. Wrong. I just thought this would be a trap game. It was for a while. The Titans were up in the first half. Then they just completely shit their pants. Will Levis, not good. He threw a pick on his knees. Like bad optics, bro. Caleb had like 100 yards. Did not look good at all. I expect him to turn around quickly. He better, because I have a future on him to win Rookie of the Year. But they're going into a terrible spot this week, but at least they're 1-0, so that's good for them. Special teams and defense looked solid for the Bears, so what do you say? Bears 1-0. Next game, my Patriots versus the Bengals. I picked them to cover 8.5, and they won the game outright. What a crazy game. You know, you expect this Bengals offense to be high flying, and Jamar Chase, and I'm going to no T. Higgins this game, obviously. Tyler Boyd left in free agency. Chase Brown and Zach Moss joined the free agency room instead of Joe Mixon, but the Patriots just slowed that shit down. They said, we're playing running football, we're playing nose tackle to nose tackle, whatever the fucking saying is. And yeah, Brissett didn't have to do much. He looked better than Mac, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm a Mac guy, but Brissett was moving in the pocket, making the throws he needed to make. I expect this week they're going to pull out the play action more and, try and get the passing game more involved, but passing was down all across the league. So if you can just give the ball to Ramondre, Antonio Gibson did not look good, but if you give the ball to Ramondre, let him pound the rock, he's a workhorse. You win games like that. And Bengals had a couple of costly turnovers. Fuck Mike Gesicki, trying to gritty on that fake touchdown. And that's all I'll say for that game. Next one, Texans at Colts. I picked the Colts to cover +3. They did. Texans won the game, though. This seemed like back and forth. Anthony Richardson only completed 9 passes, which is crazy. Still looked like that prospect that we saw last year, where sometimes he can make these amazing throws that it just is like, wow, and that's that. And, he's going to be that. I think Anthony Richardson will be good. Stroud got it to Diggs a couple times. That's good. Got to keep Diggs as happy as possible before he freaks out. So good for the Texans. I did predict a down year for the Texans, but this is off to a good start. On the road versus a division rival. Good win for the Texans. So nothing to say more about that. Next game, Jags at Dolphins. I picked the Jags to win or cover 3.5, and they did. Barely by 3 points. The Dolphins did win the game. Jags were up 17-7. Just another team that choked away a 10-point lead in the latter half of the game. Tyreek Hill arrested before the game. Of course, he was going to get his touchdown in there. A-Chain looks insane. I think he could be like a top 5 running back in the league this year if he stays healthy, especially now Mostert's out this week, I just saw. So, I expect both these teams to be pretty good. I did predict the Dolphins to miss the playoffs. Not so sure about that now. I think if they show they can win a game like this, maybe they can win these games all type of year, or win these types of games all year and continue that streak. So good for the Finns, man. Next game, Panthers Saints, and wow, I picked the Saints to cover 4, and they covered about 35, and this was the biggest blowout of the day. Panthers looked like easily the worst team in football when they were up there with the Patriots and a couple other teams to maybe be the worst, but as of right now, the Panthers are at the bottom of the list, man. Wow, that was awful. Bryce Young looks like a deer in headlights. The kid, what's his name? Jonathan Mingo, I think his name is. Second round pick from last year, fumbled. It's just like a disaster class all around. They need help. They need something. It's not over yet. It's only week 1. Maybe they can come back out strong and do something, whatever. But they just looked awful. Saints, not really much to say. Looked like the usual Saints, where they can just put up 40 on you when they want, but they don't seem to want to do it ever. Kamara had a decent game. Olave didn't do much, I don't think. Rashid Shaheed had a good touchdown, so good for the Saints. Don't think this is really a true test of them, so we'll see what they do this week. Next game, Vikings at Giants. If the Panthers are the worst team in the league, Giants are second. I picked the Giants to cover 1.5 at home, and they got destroyed. Daniel Jones might be the worst quarterback in the NFL. I think him and Bryce Young are at the bottom 2 right now. I don't know what to say about this. I've been trying to tell Giants fans that Daniel Jones is not good, bro, and they're always like, "Oh, we know he's not good. We just think he's like top 15." Like, bro, give it up. He's done, and you need to get Drew Lock in there right away. Free my boy Drew Lock. Even play my boy DeVito from Q's. I don't like DeVito because of the thing he brings out in fans. For some reason, that annoys me. But Daniel Jones is done, bro. He's as a backup in the NFL, maybe even a third stringer. On the other side, Darnold looked good. My comeback player of the year, that looks solid. So yeah, Vikings going to be a team to watch. They're going to play teams close, I think, with as long as everyone stays healthy and Addison's already hurt, but they look solid, man. So they get it done easily in the Meadowlands. Next game, Raiders at Chargers. I picked the Chargers to win and cover by 3. They did. Yeah. Raiders, it's just like, what are we doing? I thought you keep Connell in there at least, let him try it out, but now he's the backup. Minshew comes in, didn't do anything super impressive. Chargers just offensive line. J.K. Dobbins looked really good. So that Chargers defensive line too with Bosa and Mack, people forget it's solid offensive line or defensive line. I think the Chargers will be another team that will just play teams close and keep under Harbaugh. They're going to be a different type of beast. So respect to the Chargers. Next game, Broncos Seahawks. Seahawks cover or no, I picked the Seahawks -6. It ends in exactly -6. I did bet -5.5, so I won my bet. But for the pick sake, I lost because it was a push. Yeah. Seahawks, I expected them to destroy this game. They didn't do that. They kept it close. Kenneth Walker looked really good. Gino, another one of those quarterbacks that won the game on week 1 and didn't really throw for many yards. Bo Nix didn't look as bad as I thought he'd look. He had some decent plays and only had like one pick, I think. I think he had a couple scrambling plays too, so good for him. Yeah, Broncos maybe more competitive than I thought. Seahawks, I think, are going to be middling in the NFC, hovering around a playoff spot. So, yeah, my Patriots play the Seahawks this week, so we'll see how that game goes. A lot in the cards for that one. Next game, Cowboys Browns. I picked the Browns to cover 2.5, and this was my dumbest pick of the day, I think. Browns are missing 2 offensive linemen. Also, Deshaun Watson, maybe the worst quarterback in the NFL. Bottom 3 right now are Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, and Deshaun Watson. And yeah, if you haven't heard the news this week, there's more stuff coming out about Deshaun Watson. He's just a piece of shit human. So if we could get him out of the league really quick, that'd be cool. Get Jameis in there. I think they still have Tyler Huntley or DTR. One of them, let them play, bro. It's enough is enough. Like, he's not coming back. He came back last year and did the same shit. Like, if it's the same shit in different day, bro, it's like no more excuses for this guy. He's got to play well in the next couple of weeks or he's done. He's given way more of a leash than anyone. I guess he did have those years back then, but it's like, get this guy out. We've had enough. Get Deshaun Watson out of the NFL. Really, preaching to the choir anyways. Cowboys looked really solid. Defense looked good. Micah, my defensive player of the year, I think had a couple of nice impact plays. Should mention this was Tom Brady's first game. Didn't think he was that bad as everyone else said, but I had Red Zone on, so I wasn't listening to the whole thing. Dak looked really good. Just got extended right before the game started, so good for him. And yeah, this was kind of a weird game. I'm not sure how good the Cowboys really are because they always do this. They just go up a million points on teams, and we don't really know how good they actually are because sometimes they just lose in like really classic fashion. So good win for the Cowboys. Browns defense is still legit, and they put up like 30 on them. So I'll give respect where respect is due. Final game of the 4 o'clock window, we have the Commanders and the Buccaneers. I picked the Commanders to cover 3.5. The Bucs win by about 2 scores. And yeah, Baker looked elite. The defense looked good. Jaden Daniels did look solid in his debut. Probably the best debut of all the quarterbacks between him, Caleb, and Bo Nix. And he should be solid, but that Commanders defense just did not look good. Baker was slicing and dicing. Mike Evans had a lot of good plays. Bucky Irving, I think, had a couple of good plays too. So Godwin, I saw, had a good catch or two. So Bucks, I might have been completely wrong about. And yeah, so far it's looking like all the teams that made the playoffs last year are just going to make it again. It looks similar, and we'll see what changes as the season progresses. But I think there's going to be a couple teams that surprise people. It's only week 1, guys. Remember that. Sunday night game, Rams-Lions. Unfortunately, did not watch much of this, but I know Puka got hurt. That's not good for the Rams, but I think people are overreacting to that a little bit. Lions win this game by a touchdown in overtime. David Montgomery looked good, and yeah, this is a rematch from the playoffs, so when you come right back in and do that again and win again, that shows really well for the Lions. I picked the Lions to miss the playoffs. I might have been wrong about that. They're probably going to win the NFC this year. I don't know. Last game, Jets at 49ers. Oh, I got the Lions game wrong as well. I picked the Rams to cover 3.5. Jets at 49ers. I picked the Jets to cover 4.5. The 49ers win and cover the spread. Yeah, they just killed Aaron Rodgers. He could only threw to one side. First game back, rust. I think people are overreacting a little bit to the Jets thing. Yes, they did lose by a decent margin, but this is their first game with Rodgers. The 49ers are also probably the best team in the NFL on paper. So let's calm down a little bit. You get a comeback game this week with the Titans. We'll see what happens with that. And for the 49ers, just continue doing your thing, man. I really want them to win a Super Bowl in this window. I don't know. I just like the Niners. I like Brock Purdy. I like Shanahan. I like McCaffrey. I like Debo. Let's get one, man. You guys have deserved it for sure. So overall in the week, we go 8-7-1 on picks, just barely over 500, but we'll take it. Focus 5, 3-1-1. So my focus picks are good. So with that being said, let's move to week 2. And starting off week 2, we got the Bills and the Dolphins. Dolphins are -2.5 at home on Thursday night. My pick for this game, I think it's a complete toss-up. I think, we've seen these teams over the years have really close games, especially in this current era of Allen versus Tua. Over the last couple of years, I feel like it's been the Bills will win in Miami, then mostly the Bills just win every game. But for this one, I'm taking the Bills in the points. 2.5. It's basically a pick 'em. Give me the better quarterback. Give me probably the better defense. I just want to be on Josh Allen's side. I'd rather be on Josh Allen's side than Tua. In Miami, I don't think it matters as much as other home fields. It's like a Buffalo. So, Thursday night's sloppy. Maybe they'll cover a spread and even lose just because there's not a lot of points scored on Thursday night. So I'll take the Bills and the points, 2.5. Moving all the way to Sunday, we don't have a Friday night game this week. So starting the 1 p.m. slate, we have the Raiders going to the Ravens, who are a -9.5 point favorite at home. The pick here, I'm going to go reverse psychology. Give me the Raiders and the points, 9.5. I just feel like that's way too many points for a week 2 game. What does worry me is the Ravens do like to go, beat you down and keep you there mode where they just go up like 45-7 on teams that aren't as good as them, and I think that could definitely happen here, especially considering they lost week 1. I don't know. I think the Raiders, they're on the brink of their season too. Like if you start 0-2, that's not good. It's not as bad as 0-3 or 0-4 is like or 0-3 is like a death trap, I think. But you don't want to start out 0-2. I think the Raiders can play them close. Maybe they get into I know the Raiders defense isn't that great, but maybe it's kind of a back and forth thing. I don't know. It's going to have to be low scoring if the Raiders are going to cover, but if it is low scoring, then the Raiders are basically guaranteed to cover because they have such a big pillow. So I'll take the Raiders plus 9.5 and make it a sluggish game and cover that spread. Next game, we have the Browns visiting the Jaguars. This one's pretty simple for me. Take the Jaguars by field goal. The Browns look horrible on offense with Watts under center, and that doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. So with the new allegations coming in this week, it's like, what are we doing here? It's just going to be worse. It's probably going to get in his head. I can't, in my good fate, as a good human being in my heart, pick the Browns, so I'm picking the Jags. But I do like the Jags anyway, -3. I'll take them by a field goal. If they're going to, I don't know. I think the Jags look decent against the Finns. Maybe don't choke away. Obviously, this defense is vaunted for the Browns, but I believe in Trevor Lawrence. I think they can get this done by field goal. I think they'll still be a good team this year. I'm still believing in the Jags. This is kind of a crucial one, though. You don't want to be 0-2 out of these teams, but one of them will be. Give me the Jags -3. Next game, Jets head to Tennessee to face the Titans, where they will be 3.5 point underdogs. This is a tough one. I don't know why. The Titans, I think, are just going to play teams close, but I'll take the Jets -3.5 on the road. The defense was okay, but we saw them vomit all over themselves, the Titans, in week 1 against a rookie quarterback in the Bears, who didn't even have to throw for that many. I think Rodgers, get him in there. He's experienced. He knows how to win these type of games. And the Jets need to win every game possible because that fan base is on edge right now. And if they start losing games like this, it's not going to be ugly. Not going to be pretty. I could see the Jets winning by a field goal, but I'm more inclined to think that they can win by a touchdown, maybe 10 points, something like that. So, yeah, imagine if the Jets start 0-2, that will not be good. So give me the Jets -3.5. I think they'll win by at least a touchdown. Next game, we have the 49ers heading to Minnesota to face the Vikings, where they will be 6-point favorites on the road. This is a trap game from last year when we saw Minnesota beat them on Monday night, the 49ers at home. I think that the 49ers come out this week and get revenge this year and win this one by a couple scores. I mean, we saw last week against the Jets. Compare the Jets to the 49ers. Obviously, the game was in San Francisco, but I don't know. I don't think that the Vikings are good enough to, like, they could hang in there for a quarter or two. I mean, could be a potential Sam Darnold revenge game against the 49ers, but I don't know. I think the 49ers probably still are thinking about that loss last year, considering they don't really lose many games. Brock Purdy looked horrible in that game last year. I don't think all he has to do is just keep moving the rock as usual. This game, 49ers should have Christian McCaffrey back, even though Jordan Mason looked good as well. Addison might be out. I don't know. I just think everything's just telling me to take the 49ers in this game. Yes, the Jets defense is better than the Vikings, but I don't count a win over the Giants as some special leap yet for Minnesota. Obviously, that's a game you should win considering what we saw on the field. So give me the 49ers -6. Next game, the Los Angeles Chargers head to Carolina to face the Panthers, who will be 6.5-point underdogs at home. The pick here, I like the Chargers. I just don't see anything at all from Bryce Young and the Panthers that gives me any inclination or any confidence in voting for them. Even if it's a low-scoring contest, I just don't even see Carolina covering. They probably have one of the lesser fan bases in the NFL, so I'm not sure home field advantage will matter here. I think maybe they have the worst fan base in the NFL, besides the LA teams. Harbaugh is going to play hard-nosed football. If J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards get going, it's not going to be close. I think the lines, offensive line and defensive line for the Chargers, are a lot better than what the Panthers have, so I'll take the Chargers -6.5 in this one as well. Next game, my Patriots take on the Seahawks at home, where they will be 3.5-point underdogs. Bias cooking here, but give me the Pats again. This might be a reach because last game was just an easy one with 8.5. I think with the Pats defense though and run game, they can keep this one close as well. We saw the Seahawks like to run the ball a lot with Kenneth Walker too. The Pats were able to stifle Zach Moss and the other kid. Why am I forgetting? Chase Brown. Sorry. And so yeah, 3.5 I think is a perfect number where I could see them losing by a field goal even. But I do think they can slow down the Seahawks enough to keep this into a rock fight, keep it into a low scoring game. We saw the Seahawks couldn't put away the Broncos last week with a rookie quarterback. So get Brissett in there. He knows how to manage a game. I think they could unlock some things passing the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pats win outright. The fan base is back in it. We're re-energized. We didn't expect that we were going to win week 1, so now we come to this home opener against the Seahawks, underdogs at home. I think, anything could happen. So I'll take the Pats +3.5. That might be a biased pick, though, so keep that in mind. Next game, the Saints head to Dallas to face the Cowboys, where the Cowboys will be 6.5-point favorites at home. This is a tough one for me. I want to like the Saints a lot this year, but I think we just take the Cowboys here because that offense looked elite, and the Cowboys in the early season are just so good, and they always do well and always put up a lot of numbers. The Saints played the worst team in the NFL, as mentioned before, and stomped on them, but who knows what they're capable of against an actual good team, like a real defense and a real offense, especially coming off last week. They might be, feeling too good that this just becomes another blowout in Dallas. So I'll take the Cowboys and the 6.5 points at home. Next game, the Giants head to Washington to face on the Commanders, who are 1.5 favorites at home. This is essentially a pick 'em, but I'm picking the better quarterback. I think Daniel Jones is horrible. He's bottom 5 in the league for sure. Jane Daniels showed flashes in the first game. Got to take the Commanders here, -1.5. I'm ready to say that Jane Daniels is already better than Daniel Jones. I'm not sure who would even argue with me on that. So, yes, I'll take the better quarterback. Yes, the Commanders' defense may be horrible, but the Giants weren't really stopping anyone either. I mean, we saw Sam Darnold get a lot of what he wanted. Giants do have Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence, but they're already frustrated. We saw in the post-game interview, Kayvon Thibodeau is being a bitch, so I'll take the Commanders -1.5. It's basically a pick 'em, so I'll take the home team, the better quarterback, and I was going to say the better coach, but Quinn's probably not a better coach. I mean, it's probably equal coaching. So, next game, Tampa Bay heads to the Lions to take on Tampa Bay heads to Detroit to take on the Lions, who are 7-point favorites in this one. The pick here, I'm taking the Bucks. 7 points seems like a lot to me, and this was a close playoff matchup last year. Baker looked elite in that first game. Granted, it was that Commanders' horrible defense that I just talked about, but same stadium as last year in the playoffs. I feel comfortable saying that this will come within a touchdown, so I'll take the side that gets an extra 7 points. I feel like we like the plus sign here. Bucks should be good. Haven't really changed much from last year. I could just be totally wrong about them. These are the two teams I predicted in the NFC to miss the playoffs this year. So what do I know? But I'll take the Bucks and the 7 points to cover against the Lions. I'm not sure if I see them winning outright, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I do like the Bucks a lot now. That it's the NFL. Everything changes on a week-to-week basis. So I think this will be a really good game. But I'll take the Bucks to lose by 3 or 4, or maybe even win. So Bucks plus 7. Next game, the Indianapolis Colts head to Green Bay to face on the Packers, who are plus 3 at home. Colts is the hammer here. This spread has already probably gone up a lot. Malik Willis, I want you to be good, but you cannot throw a football to save your life. Richardson looked good in spots against a bona fide Texans defense. I don't see the Packers being able to keep up with the Colts offensively at all. I mean, we saw what Malik Willis looked like against the Chiefs in his probably best game possible when it was like 17-9. I just don't see it happening. I think the Colts are going to slam here. I think the Colts are going to win. The Packers are in trouble. And yes, Lambeau could play a factor. It is early, so the weather's not going to really be a factor, but it is a home game for the Packers, their first home game of the year. Granted, it's Malik Willis, guys. I think compare Anthony Richardson and Malik Willis, it's night and day. So give me the Colts -3 on the road at Green Bay. Next game, the Rams head to Arizona to face the Cardinals, where the Cardinals are 1.5 favorites at home. The pick here, if you've listened to my Week 1 episode, I love the Rams this year. I just think they're really going to be really good. Yes, Puka Nakua's out, but you have Cooper Kupp, who had about 14 catches for Week 1, 10 catches, whatever it was. They can make things work. It's Stafford. It's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He can make things, it's not going to be as bad as it looks on paper. Kyron Williams had a touchdown. I think they'll be all right. This could be set up as we saw Arizona compete with the Bills in Week 1, but with that margin being so tight, as at a 1.5 point difference, give me the Rams. Better team, better quarterback, better coach, all by far, in my opinion. So I like the Rams here on the road, plus 1.5. Next game, the Pittsburgh Steelers head to Denver to take on the Broncos, who are plus 3 at home. The pick, this is another very close one here, but I lean the Steelers. The defense is just absurd, and they wreaked havoc on the Falcons and Kirk Cousins, so I just think that's going to be easy to repeat against, especially a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix. Yes, the Broncos may keep it close like they did against the Seahawks, but 3 points is enough for me to feel safe about this pick. I just think the Steelers better defense, better team, slightly better offensive weapons. Give me the Steelers -3. Next game, probably game of the week, is the Bengals heading to Kansas City, where they will be 6-point underdogs facing the Chiefs. So initially, when I saw the Bengals lose Week 1, I was like, they're going to come back and win next week no matter what. That's just guaranteed in the script, going to happen. But then I realized they're playing the Chiefs, so they have to go against the best team in the NFL, reigning champs at home. Don't love it. Chiefs by 6 seems a little bit rich, just due to how close these teams play usually when they play each other. But I'm not doubting it, especially at home. I think the Ravens have a better defense than the Bengals, and we saw the Chiefs beat them by a touchdown. So the Chiefs, potentially with Hollywood back, I think could just be more dynamic, more explosive. Pacheco is a consistent runner in comparison to Zach Moss and Chase Brown. So give me the Chiefs -6. I think this could be like Chiefs win by a touchdown or two. Sunday Night Football, which this is an odd Sunday Night Football choice. They probably just wanted to keep the other teams ready for the end of the year. We have the Chicago Bears heading to Houston to take on the Texans, where the Texans are -7. Pick here, I'm taking the Texans. Yes, the 7 is a lot, but we saw Caleb struggle against a not great Titans defense. I think the Texans are better defensively than the Titans are. CJ and that explosive offense get to play at home for their first game, for their home opener this year. I think they could easily put away the Bears by a touchdown or more. I wouldn't be surprised if this is even a blowout. I need to see something from Caleb Williams moving forward. Just didn't see what I wanted to see Week 1, so for now, I'm giving the Texans in this game -7. Last game of the week, Monday Night Football. I already kind of alluded to my pick here, but I like the Eagles -6.5. Kirk always plays teams close. Yes, I'm specifically remembering a Thursday night football game between the Vikings and Eagles last year. It was close, but I just like the Eagles a lot here. They've shown they can ground and pound. Yes, game one was a little scary. They did not cover against the Packers, but I think they did cover against the Packers, but it's 2.5, not 6.5. I think they won by like 5 points. Anyways, I think that they're better than the Packers are better than the Falcons. I'm not throwing the flag yet for the Falcons, as I already mentioned. I do just think they have two tough matchups to start the year, especially with the Steelers defense and now the Eagles defense. I think it's going to take some time for them to get where they need to be, and this is not the matchup to do it. In week 2 against the Eagles, I'll take the Eagles -6.5. So there's all my picks for week 2. Now let's get into the Focus 5, my real locks of the week. We got the Jags heading on at home against the Browns. This should be an easy hammer spot. 0-1. Jags need to turn this around quickly. Doug Peterson's job may be on the line, question mark. Trevor Lawrence is way better. His league's better than Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson should be kicked out of the NFL. Hot take. Not really, because everyone's saying it. Give me the Jags -3 at home against the Browns. Next game, Jets -3.5 in Tennessee. Same thing. They should win this game. If the Jets are 0-2, the world is not going to be great in New York. Things are going to start flying off the wall quickly, so you need to strap down and win this game against the Titans. More superior defense, better weapons, better offense, better everything. So there's really no excuse for the Jets not to win this game by 3.5. I think they should win this game by a touchdown or two, and that's if the Titans really play their A game. Third game, Commanders -1.5 against the Giants at home. Giants looked horrible week 1. I don't see a comeback redeeming effort. The only thing that's giving me pause is the Commanders' defense looked horrible. But Jaden Daniels should be able to wheel and deal enough for them to win by field goal at least. Daniel Jones should also be out of the NFL. He should be fired as well with Deshaun Watson just for being awful. Next game, Colts on the road against the Packers. I'll take the Colts -3. Malik Willis, I'm picking against all terrible quarterbacks here. Deshaun Watson, Will Levis, Daniel Jones, Malik Willis. Name one of those that are good. Malik Willis can barely throw a football. I don't think he's as elite runner as he needs to be like a Lamar to even make running matter. So I just think this is not even going to be close. Yes, the Packers have a bevy of weapons to choose from, but if you can't throw the football, it's not going to matter. Yes, Richardson completed 9 passes, but he had 300 yards or 200 yards. So I like the Colts. They just more explosive offense, same defense kind of to me in my head. So Colts -3 seems like an easy bet. Last game, Rams +1.5 at the Cardinals. Rams just have a better team, better offense, better defense, better coach, better quarterback, better everything. Yes, it's on the road. Yes, the Cardinals like to play teams close, but 1.5 point underdogs, that's a joke. It's probably a setup game, but give me the Rams +1.5. So that's the Focus 5 for this week. As mentioned before, we have 3-1-1 in the year. Hoping to stay positive or I lose all credibility. So my job's on the line here, guys. Let's hope these guys win. But I do like all those bets for sure. So that'll wrap up NFL. I'm out of breath. Yes, I promised guests. I capped. I'm lazy. Next week for sure, I've already locked in one guest. We will have guests from here on out in the NFL. To my people out there, you will be on the show if you want to be. I'm sorry, I'm being a dickhead. All right, NFL week 2 in the books. What do you guys like? What do you not like? What do you disagree with? Whatever. Now NCAA. We keep it brief here. I'm not a college football expert. I'm trying to get more and more into it. So I'll give you my 5 takeaways, give you my flash 5 for the weekend, and we'll send you on your way for a brief football podcast. So yeah, weekly. If you're new here for some reason, weekly NFL podcast will be dropping, recapping the games from last week, going into the games this week, and then NCAA as well. So yeah, just don't have the capabilities to do 2 podcasts right now per week for the NFL. I'm not, this isn't my full-time job. I also like to cover other things on the channel. So sorry, this will be all wrapped in one, and I'm spewing right now. So let's wrap this up with NCAA football, my 5 takeaways. First takeaway of the week, Notre Dame. Notre Dame. What a joke, dude. What an absolute joke. Wow. Northern Illinois, a MAC team, beats you in your place, bro. You're number 5 in the... What a joke. So this just translated into Texas A&M being horrible because somehow they beat Texas A&M. This is just wow. Then Yes, the Notre Dame season is not over. They just need to win every game. They'll still make the playoffs from being Notre Dame. But wow, America, we won, man. Notre Dame takes a loss, and they got to win every game from here on out. Wow, I'm just elated by that. Second thing, second takeaway: Texas hammers Michigan. What a week! Michigan and Notre Dame down. We won, bro. Wow. Yeah, Texas is legit for sure. They'll be in the playoff. They might win the SEC. No, they probably won't win the SEC, but Texas, Georgia will feed families, bro. That'll be a crazy game. But Michigan, man, what happened, bro? Portnoy, you good out there, man? Michigan, what happened? Um, yeah, what a blowout. In your own place, too. Oof. Michigan and Notre Dame losing at home this week. Ouch. Next takeaway: Tennessee hammers NC State. My ACC pride took a little hit. NC State was a little bit fraudulent with that first game against Western Carolina. Could have potentially been the reverse psychology comeback spot. The game is at a neutral site. Nico's MVP or Heisman right now. SEC looks legit. Tennessee has moved up the rankings, moved up the ladder really fast. So good for Tennessee. Orange teams, we're good, man. I like to see Tennessee good, so I was happy to see that result. Not really, because I don't really care, but good for Tennessee. They're legit for now, and we'll see how that carries on. The SEC is shaping up to be a fucking insane conference this year. Next point. How about this is a PSA to America. I think a lot of us have stopped doing this, and a lot of people are on my side on this. Hey, let's stop talking about Colorado until they actually beat somebody legitimate. We're talking about them week one because they beat an FCS, FBS, whatever it's called, North Dakota State. How about you go to Nebraska and win a game? Wait. They couldn't. They got blown out. Wow. Yeah, let's stop talking about Colorado, okay? And that's all I'll say because I don't want them to get more attention than they deserve. But if you want to look up funny things, look up Shadur Sanders and his song. Final point. Oregon and Penn State survived scares against Boise and Bowling Green. These are two teams I root for. Been an Oregon fan since 6th grade. You can ask anyone. I jumped on the bandwagon because I liked the uniforms. I was 12 years old, and now we're here 12 years later, so that's a 12-year fandom. So deal with that. But yeah, Dylan Gabriel I thought would fit seamlessly into this offense for Bo Nix. Not looking good. They got to figure something out. Big game this week against Oregon State. They got to get it all shaped together before Big Ten play. Haven't loved what I've seen out of Oregon so far, but I do think that they can still be good. They keep sliding in the rankings due to them just being close. But Boise State has a Heisman running back. They're not the worst team in the world, so yes, it was bad, but it could have been worse. They could have lost. And Penn State, also like Penn State. If I didn't go to Syracuse, I would have went to Penn State. Bowling Green is awful. But Penn State, has a legitimate win over West Virginia. A lot of the top teams can't say that. They're playing the Tennessee Techs of the world. They're playing Western Michigan. They're playing Central Michigan. So, good for them for taking on West Virginia, but you can't fall asleep at the wheel against Bowling Green. Not good. So Penn State and Oregon barely survive this week. Thought that was something to note. So with that being said, let's go to our week 3 NCAA Flash 5. We only started this in week 2. So our record last week was 4-1. We had Texas, we had Tennessee, easy wins, slamming the hammer. Louisville, minus 30 was a lucky cover, I'm not going to lie, but we got it done. There's only one side to pick that can be right, and it was Louisville because they scored with like 2 minutes left. Iowa lost. What a joke of a team. Just can't get that offense ever going. And then the last one was... Who was the last pick? Sorry, I'm going to have to... Syracuse won this week. Big win over ranked Georgia Tech. And yeah, Duke. Duke plus 2.5 was the craziest ride of my life. Friday night game. Turn on the TV. You're watching Duke Northwestern. Duke's down like 10. And Malik Murphy did not look good. He looked so like robotic. It was hard to explain, but yeah, we covered. We won the game in overtime. It was just an absurd ending. Duke had some calls go their way. 4-1 record. We're here. Flash 5. So looking to continue on this week. Kind of a rougher slate of college football. Not a lot of ranked matchups. Shout out to BC heading to Mizzou this week. 17 points on the road as an underdog. Let's ride. Go BC. But besides that, not really a ton of action. There are some smaller games. As long as there's football on, I'm happy. But, it's not going to be peak college football this week. This might be the worst we've had so far, but should be some fun matchups anyways. So with that being said, let's get into my week 5, Flash 5. First pick, Kansas, -7 at home against UNLV. Yes, UNLV has a high-flying offense. Yes, Kansas just lost to Illinois on the road. Bounce back spot. They come back here, prove their worth, beat up UNLV by a touchdown or two. It's going to be a problem of scoring. I think they can do it, though. They were ranked before the season started. I believe that team will still be solid. Kansas football is back. Go ahead, beat UNLV by 21. Why don't you? Next game, Buffalo, -4.5 at home against UMass. UMass sucks. We saw them lose to MAC team EMU in the first week. They lost last week to somebody, and if you can't beat EMU, you're not beating Buffalo in their place. So give me Buffalo -4.5. This will probably be a close game because they're shitty teams and won't score, but give me Buffalo by at least a touchdown. So 4.5. I'm taking that as well. Next game, Utah. This is a lot of rivalries this week. So Utah versus Utah State. Utah -20 at Utah State. Utah State has not looked good to start this year. Utah should be solid with Cam Rising. Hopefully he's playing. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt again. It seems like every time I'm watching Utah football, Cam Rising's not in the game. But let's go for it. 3 scores shouldn't be a lot to ask. On the road might be a challenge, but let's pummel them. Let's show Utah Utes, Big 12, what we're all about. Cover the spread on the road. Next game, Indiana, -3 at UCLA. UCLA is a joke. Had a bye week last week already. Only has beat Hawaii barely. So Indiana should be able to show up there, show that Big 10 football, pound the rock, and just destroy them. Give me Indiana -3. Last game, Virginia +2.5 at home versus Maryland. I'll take the points here. Maryland has not looked good either to start the year. Virginia's 2-0. I saw one random Twitter account that was a Virginia fan that was hyping up Virginia football. So we ride. They're at home. This should be, kind of a cross-state rivalry. A couple teams who don't like each other much. They probably play, every year or so. Give me Virginia at home +2.5. I feel like this could be a money line / Duke situation where they could just win in like overtime or something. So that's the Flash 5. To recap quickly, Kansas -7 at home against UNLV. Buffalo -4.5 at home against UMass. Utah -20.5 on the road against Utah State. Indiana -3 at UCLA. And Virginia +2.5 at home versus Maryland. So that'll wrap everything up. I'm realizing now that I took a lot of road teams, so I'm probably due to lose and just be caked in shit because all my good picks were last week. So tail at your own risk. If I was preaching logic, take as well. I will be putting something on all of these games that I just mentioned. So that'll wrap up this week. Next week we'll have guests. It'll be fun. I will make that group chat. I'm sorry. I'm a liar. Now, I'm a liar for this week. Next week I will. Well, I already have booked next week. So week 4. If you want to be on the Dubcast, hit me up. All right, so that'll wrap up football. Should be premiering on Thursday if everything goes right. After that, UFC. I don't know if I'm going to decide whether to drop that on Friday or Thursday. Might do a double episode. UFC in the Sphere. So went through that pick. That should be a shorter one because there's only 10 fights, only prelims and main card. Have some solid bets for that one. We'll be betting that as well. What a sports weekend we have. NCAA football Thursday, Friday, Saturday. UFC Saturday, football, NFL Thursday and Sunday. So thank you guys so much for sticking along. What else is in the works? Devil's Advocate. Saturday premiered. It's already in there before I even film this. It's ready to go. It's primed. What else? Got this steady sheet here. I'm planning shit out. 41 subscribers. We're getting legit. Next couple episodes. Succession, season 4, episodes 6 through 10 should drop next week. I already filmed the first 3 episodes of that. Succession tier list with a guest could potentially be filmed this weekend, drop next week. Top 10 TV shows of all time, and floating that one. That'll probably come out in a while because I need to do a lot of research on that. Dune 1 in the near future as well. So thank you guys. Grinding this thing out. Got the notepad, got everything ready. Appreciate you. Subscribe, turn the bells on, hit the likes, hit the dislike, hit a comment. Be easy, y'all.